Two men flown home after being lost at sea. Dedication service to mark opening of the legal year. And Bougainville smuggling policeman arrested after being on the run.
This is National EMTV News with Lorraine Genia.
Good evening and welcome to Monday's news. Last year, Rickson Masol and Chris Pagan from New Ireland experienced engine failure while out at sea. They drifted for 41 days before being found in the Federated States of Micronesia. Today, they were flown back to Port Moresby with the help of the International Organization for Migration.
On September 28th, Rickson Masol and Chris Pagan were sailing with three others from their home village of Fessau to Chimbu Island when the boat experienced engine failure and started to drift. They had lost all communication with land, and over the next 6 weeks they floated almost 1,000 kilometers to Satwan Atoll in the Federated States of Micronesia, where local residents found them. Locals say that they were in surprisingly good health, having survived by drinking rainwater and coconuts which washed past their boats. The three others, two men and a woman, unfortunately did not survive. The residents of Satwan Atoll helped them get in touch with their families in Papua New Guinea, who contacted the IOM for assistance.
Through the coordinated help of different governments and IOM and NGOs, they were able to be repatriated today to Papua New Guinea.
IOM is engaged in an awareness campaign focusing on maritime safety, which involves partnerships with the government, Small Craft Authority and the Maritime Authority to prepare and improve maritime safety.
Through the collaborative help and their fund, a special fund for stranded migrants, has helped so far 19 stranded migrants in the Pacific.
Masol and Pagan will be spending a night in Port Moresby before returning to New Ireland, where their family awaits them.
The mining company that Rickson Masol and Chris Pagan work for, they were unable to be interviewed on the ordeal they faced. Adelaide Sirox Kari, National EMTV News.
Most reports of boats robbed in Morabit waters occur during peak periods like the festive season. Robbers target these times to rob boats to get away with money. Boat skipper and victim of sea piracy, Brian Jack, says during these peak times, skippers avoid overloading passengers and cargo.
Brian Jack has been a skipper for almost 8 years. He runs his boat service from Lae to Finschhafen. Jack was a victim of sea piracy. He used to own a 40-horsepower engine outboard motor, but it was stolen with other valuables when he was robbed. Jack tried to investigate the incident himself, but he failed. He also reported the matter to the police. Police also investigated, but were not able to continue the investigation, so the case was put aside until now. Jack had already bought a new boat and continues his boat service, but he is now taking more precautions when carrying passengers to and from Lae. Robbers usually target boats at the Warabusu outlet into the sea and at Singawa area. These points are meters from Lae. Police are not able to prevent armed robberies which happen out at sea.
Aside the police meeting, some police makes igat boat law over the time must stop solwara. La look out him solwara too. In a road tasol. It must get police run or sea too. La look out him sea. Or look out him solwara is like a time or some October or December. Will be the time.
Today, many skippers are very cautious when traveling to and from Lae. Sea piracy is common in Morabit waters. Now, Iwagu is a skipper who operates his boat service from Lae to Finschhafen. For safety measures, they make sure they have enough fuel to take them to their destination. Skippers also ignore unidentified boats floating out at sea at odd locations.
Sena long number road mi bla sawe. Ron mi bla sa luk. Sa bo sika sampla boat trip na troman mi bla no sa stop na. help him because
In 2015, there were numerous reports of boats being robbed, but police are not able to prevent armed robberies that happen out at sea. Therefore, boat operators are taking precautions when transporting passengers to their destination. Mata Luis, National MTV News, Ley.
National workers at Ramu mine have engaged a private law firm based in the Madang province to assist them while waiting for the MCC management to respond to their petition. MTV understands that the Department of Industrial Relations Labour has requested the management to respond fairly to each of the 11 points on the petition. The Industrial Compulsory Conference on Thursday this week will see all parties present to iron out an agreement. Meanwhile, all national workers have returned to work. A male in the late 20s was murdered on Saturday in Gunimi District, Chimbu Province, following accusations of people practicing sorcery. Chimbu Provincial Police Commander Superintendent Albert Belly confirmed the killing, saying 5 suspects are known to police and will be brought in for questioning. The suspects were in possession of a hired firearm which was meant to start up a fight with those they accused of practicing sorcery. Superintendent Belly is calling on the relatives of the deceased to let police and the law deal with those responsible for this killing. The deceased has been identified as 28-year-old Wee Kansol from Walkai tribe in the Gunimi electorate.
The body is now at the Kunjao General Hospital, being transported by the relatives under the escort of police escort. The post-mortem is to be conducted today with crime report as well as coroner report now requested made that the coroner be done. So it will be done as soon as possible today. So my call out now is the case is a clear case. The suspects are known. This is now in the hospital. And of course, police will continue to do the investigations. But what I'm calling upon is for them to come forward with statements, evidence, and so forth, so that will make police work easier. And of course, the investigation can be fast-tracked.
The legal fraternity in Papua New Guinea has been urged to return to basics. Chief Justice Sir Salamo India made the call today at the dedication service, marking the start of the 2016 legal year. Sir Salamo said justice must be seen to be done.
The opening of the legal year in Port Moresby was marked at the Living Light Foursquare Gospel Church. It began with a parade by officers from the disciplinary forces, the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary, PNG Defence Force and Correctional Services. Chief Justice Sir Salamo India told members of the disciplinary forces and legal fraternity to return to basics. Regarding judicial services, Sir Salamo said there were far too many adjournments and deferrals of court cases. Regarding disciplinary forces, he said the public needed to see and feel more police presence. He called for the officers from both the disciplinary forces and the legal fraternity to be more committed. Following the theme of getting back to basics, Senior Pastor Rodney Tomuriesa of the Living Light Foursquare Gospel Church delivered a sermon from Genesis chapter 1, where, in the beginning, God was present before anything else. The fraternity heard that when God is put in his rightful place, eternal and supreme, then everything else will take its place. The Chief Justice reiterated that if PNG is to develop with the rest of the world, it needs to get back to the basics of service and commitment at all levels. Delhi Waigeno, National MTV News.
Papua New Guinea Defence Force personnel have been challenged to put God first in their duties this year. PNGDF Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Misael Bade made this remark during their dedication service recently. Similar sentiments were expressed by the PNGDF Commander Brigadier General Gilbert Torpo. Torpo says the force has encountered challenges in its operations, but all can be possible if everything is committed to God's guidance. And among stories after the break, the opening of the 2016 school year, the launch of the Como Bosavi Road project, and Chimbu farmers' agreement with the New Zealand government. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching National EMTV News. Prime Minister Peter ONeill has wished all students, parents and teachers every success for the start of the 2016 school year. He says children in our schools today are all part of the education generation, the first generation to have access to free education. The provision of fee-free education is not an easy policy to implement, but it is one of our most important policies. He said every child in our country deserves a chance to have a quality education, be they rich or poor, from the city or the most remote village, and the government is committed to providing it. Meanwhile, schools across the country officially resumed their 2016 academic year today. MTV's reporter Eric Harupma spoke to students in Port Moresby this morning.
Students stand up in numbers for enrollment in all schools across the nation's capital this morning. MTV visited different schools in Port Moresby and saw students with their parents queuing up to sort out their registration.
I'm prepared well. I've committed my time. I have prioritized my time to do my studies.
I'll do my studies to get good marks to prepare to go to the next grade.
Students said this academic year will be a challenging year for them. However, they came prepared to take any challenges and obstacles that could hinder the progress of their studies.
For this year, 2016, since it's a very nice environment to learn, I'm looking forward to stay here and to learn as much as I can.
Yeah, Port Moresby National High School is a very nice place. The environment is just welcoming, and yeah, you feel at home when you come as soon as you enter the gates of Port Moresby National High School.
Meanwhile, students' enrollment this year is estimated to be far greater than expected because of the government's tuition fee-free education policy. Teachers are seeing a significant increase in the number of student enrollment because many students have come from outside of Port Moresby.
Students are coming from all the provinces, and there's more pressure within us, the principal to the teachers, to enroll them. In the class, we have 70 to 75 students here, and more are coming.
Education Secretary Dr. Uke Kombra has rescinded his decision on the payment of project fees contained in a recent circular stating that fees won't be imposed upon students awaiting decision from the Cabinet. Students are expected to formally resume classes by Tuesday as registration and enrollment processes are still going on. Eric Harupma, National EMTV News.
After 30 years of negligence by Hela and Southern Highlands governments, the people of Bosavi will now have a proper road. This comes after the launch of the Como-Bosavi Road project. Bosavi LLG President Efale Babe said this has been the cry of the people.
Accessing services in town and the Como district headquarters has been the plight of the people of Bosavi. People there have been walking for miles using bush tracks in the last 30 years to get into town. But with the construction of the new road progressing, Bosavi President Efale Babe says his people will now access proper services and also see basic services reach their doorsteps.
The
road is currently in its first stages of construction after a funding of 4 million kina from Prime Minister Peter ONeill. However, more funding is needed.
So far we got 4 million kina only, and and so we hope that it will take about 50 to 60 million kina to get the road to Bosavi.
The road will cut through rough terrains starting at Yagawi village to Bobole and the last ward of Bosavi.
This road will bring about civilization for the people of Bosavi. This road is the hope of the people of Bosavi.
The road project is a major breakthrough for the Como and Bosavi people.
Because this road also cry all the time, plenty time long. This road also. Plenty also put him saksak na peace. Kan no labus lo hapset also karim kam lo back. Also karim lo palus o wanet. Also karim lo soldier.
Other road projects in the area include the Ulia Benaria and the Komwagai Jaba Road. Jack Lapava Jr. National EMTV News.
At Lay's City Council chambers today, Lay's thriving private sector was approached by a JICA technical team and the provincial administration to become part of the Lay Nadzab Urban Development Plan. Key areas of the plan were presented to company representatives to get private businesses involved in the project. Bethany Harriman with this report from Leh.
In the Leh City Council chambers, the Japanese experts talked about the Leh Nadzab Urban Development Plan. Parts of the plan presented today showed new infrastructure, a bypass from Igam to Nadzab, and a new highway to Salamoa to ease traffic congestion. 3 new city centers in Leh, Igam, and near the new Nadzab airport by 2050.
But on the other hand, the Leh city itself is congested by the heavy vehicle, so that we have to make one more, the bypass route.
With a new wharf, Leh expects huge growth. The Japanese experts are planning for the expansion of Leh City with more roads linking people to better health and education facilities. But there are challenges in the plan. Land availability was raised. Land in Leh is either being squatted on or taken illegally. Court injunctions prevent rightful parties from ownership.
It's not yet over because we still have issues. I think a lot of the issues have been raised by the members, and particularly in terms of the existing laws governing how the land has been used, and it has been raised. And I think the Department of Lands and Physical Planning, National Department, they are aware of those issues.
But the purpose for today's discussions was to get businesses in Leh's thriving private sector to support these development aspirations. The aim is to bring together the stakeholders in the private sector to gauge their views on what needs to be done to ensure that the plan suits their needs and the development purpose. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Leh.
ExxonMobil PNG Limited, operator of the PNG LNG project, has won the 2015 Asia Pacific Midstream LNG Company of the Year award. The award was presented by the Oil and Gas Council at the Asia Pacific Oil and Gas Awards dinner in Singapore last week. ExxonMobil PNG Managing Director Andrew Barry attended the event and accepted the award for ExxonMobil PNG and the PNG LNG project. Chairman of the Oil and Gas Council, Ross Stewart Campbell, said there was no better success story globally in 2015 than that of the PNG LNG project operated by ExxonMobil. Campbell said ExxonMobil PNG is the rightful winner with the huge value creation for all concerned, setting in turn a new standard of excellence for project management and delivery. And apologies there. And now looking at our finance news, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.3295 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3220 $0.4521 Australian dollars, $0.2940 euro, and 38.78 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee and cocoa closed higher, while gold and copper closed the day lower. Palm oil and crude oil closed lower, while copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 397 points higher, the ASX closed at 72 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 74 points higher. And still ahead on National EMTV News, prisoners' rehabilitation, police officers apprehended, and the deepening relations of Fiji and Russia. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. A business contract agreement was signed between the Chimbu provincial government and the New Zealand government. The 2-month agreement signed recently will facilitate for both parties to work closely to improve logistical support for farmers in Chimbu to sell their produce in markets around the country. The agreement will be implemented once all relevant processes are finalised.
The Chimbu Farmers Marketing Limited was established in 2013 by the Chimbu Provincial Government. Shareholders include the Chimbu Farmers Cooperative Society, which has a 72% stake, while Chimbu Provincial Government has 28%. It was established to assist farmers find markets for their produce. However, for the past 3 years, it has struggled due to logistical setbacks.
But how we are going now, and the help we are getting from the national government, it looks like the national government has no policy on this. We are finding it very extremely difficult to find markets. You know, in the highlands, there's market here in Port Moresby. How can we bring our produce down? We tried it by ship, and there's no cooler rooms. We're trying our best, and the ship, you know, is taking around 3 days to come to Port Moresby. By that time, some of the food, you know, are getting rotten and things like this.
Under this agreement, the New Zealand government will provide logistical support and training for Chimbu farmers. Chimbu Governor Noah Cool described this partnership as a way forward for his farmers.
We partner with any aid organizations like the New Zealand government. I think we can go a very long way. We can solve the problem. So we really need to address it from all angles, work together and advance this organization.
Governor Cool hopes the supply chain will be improved under this partnership. He has also called on the government to devise a transportation policy to assist farmers subsidize their freight costs.
So the government is going to come out clear. If they are serious about banning fresh fruits from importing fresh fruits from overseas, then they should be having a policy, and they should make it at least conducive for farmers so that, you know, we just kind of grow and plant and, you know, flood the supermarkets and the restaurants here. But it's not happening. Now they're talking about banning, lifting banning, you know, all these two which they're talking about on the media. But what we want to see is the government has got to have a policy on that to address this issue. How can the farmers effectively bring their produce to the markets?
Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
There are more than 5,000 prisoners serving jail terms in various prisons in Papua New Guinea, 50% more than what jail facilities were built to hold. But every jail wants to make sure that every prisoner is rehabilitated enough to leave the jails as changed people. To ensure this, it introduced the Prisoners Rehabilitation Program to rehabilitate prisoners. And as Edwin Fidelis reports, it appears to be working.
At the Caravat prison in East New Britain province, it is another ordinary day for both guards and inmates, waking up, getting their 3 meals a day and doing community work within the prison community. But what stands out from this daily routine is not much talked about. What happens here is a day-to-day activity where inmates are part of a rehabilitation program. They do agriculture, sewing, or even attending schools away from the prison.
Let me give him second chance long life long.
We met Stephen Siname while filming this story about the life of prisoners behind these walls and barbed fences. It's been years since 2008, serving his jail term.
Let me give him second chance long life long, man. The time I me come, and me wrong, and me come meet within this place, and me look savage, oh, life and me all same. Me got role by me playing inside long family, inside long community, and big play long inside long country long yet.
Stephen is part of a prison rehabilitation program where inmates are rehabilitated. This gives them a second lease on life when they get out of prison.
This is a rehabilitation program, and me long challenge him life long me play. It begins with inner man, rehabilitation, and me begin, and me must start long inside long man past them, and then me show out physically.
The program also involves their families. They come here every weekend to visit them. This gives them a sense of where they belong and that they have a place in the society to return to after they serve their jail terms. While some prisoners consider themselves unlucky due to the nature of their crime, others who are part of this rehabilitation program see it as an opportunity to change their old life. Last year, 2 inmates graduated from the Kokopo Business College with diplomas in business studies, a prison success story. They were given the opportunity to complete their education while serving their jail terms. Now, the general sentiment is that when more prisoners are rehabilitated, the better they will be when they return to their societies.
We're trying to give them a second chance to go out, so that they can become a useful citizen of this country and this province.
Prison officers who work closely with them want to see them differently, and it is here that they want to challenge negative perceptions where prisons are seen by many as dumping grounds for the unwanted. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
A senior police officer who was on the run by police for smuggling betel nut into Port Moresby was apprehended and charged by police today. Senior Constable Chris Wass was arrested by police at midday today and is now being detained at the Baroko police station.
Senior Constable Chris Wass, attached to the Bomano Dog Unit, was slapped with 4 charges for infringing the citywide betel nut ban policy. According to police reports, the officer smuggled 32 bags of betel nut and 2 parcels of mustard into Port Moresby. The officer was an accomplice of 3 civilians who were caught by police last month.
So we arrested the crew. And the policeman got away, and I mentioned that we know his identity. And today, we conducted further investigations, and until today, we arrested and charged Senior Constable Christopher Was, age 41 years, of Ulupu Village, Maprik, Isipik Province. We charge him for one count of, him being acting as an agent to smuggle 34 bags of betel nuts into unauthorized zone, namely National Capital District, none other than a designated zone. We charge him under Section 11, Subsection B of the NCDC Litter Act.
MTV also received reports that another police officer, Constable George Paul, attached to the Public Safety Division with Badili Police, was also arrested today. The officer was charged for assaulting a civilian with a louver blade frame at Badili Vocational Center last month.
That was used by George Paul to hit John Henry with it on the hand. While leaving Koki Vocational Center main entrance, he was confronted by policeman, I think, namely George Paul. The policeman was off duty at the time, and he punched him without any good reasons.
Tougher laws will be placed on police brutality cases and misconduct of office by rogue police officers. Marilyn Daukatam, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, Russia recently donated 20 container ships worth of military equipment to Fiji. The donation follows a series of military and technical agreements signed between the countries in 2013 and reportedly includes small arms and munitions, the entirety of which will be unveiled this month. Members of Fiji's opposition criticized the donation secrecy, speculating a helicopter or heavy weaponry may be included in the package. But the Fiji government said the weapons are intended for Fijian peacekeepers on UN missions overseas who are using outdated arms. Analysts say Fiji is deepening its relationships with China and Russia since military and financial sanctions were imposed by its traditional allies, Australia, New Zealand and the US, after Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama's military coup in 2006. Over 300 migrants have been rescued by Italian Coast Guards in the Strait city of Sicily in the Mediterranean. Coast Guards rescued the drifting migrants from 3 rubber boats on Saturday, the 30th of January. The migrants were mainly male of African origin.
The Italian Coast Guard released a video yesterday of the rescue of more than 300 migrants from rubber boats in the Mediterranean. Thousands of Africans put their lives at risk as they go on a boat journey in search of a better life. It is a journey that begins with hope, but often ends in despair. Most of them depart from Libya late at night, traveling across the Mediterranean Sea in broad streams with Italy as their central destination. Most of the migrants are Eritrean and Syrian, but numerous Africans from sub-Saharan regions also use this route. In 2015, almost 2,000 people have died trying to make this crossing. The Libyan Coast Guard intercepts many of the boats transporting illegal immigrants from across Africa to Italy. Lorraine Gabina, EMTV World News.
The Marshall Islands have a turbulent nuclear past, but are seeking retribution through the UN's highest court, the International Court of Justice. The tiny island nation accused 9 nuclear heavyweights in 2014 of breaching the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, but only India, Pakistan and Britain's cases were admitted. This came after marking 60 years since the US tested a hydrogen bomb 1,000 times more powerful than the Hiroshima atomic bomb on Bikini Atoll, displacing its inhabitants and leaving behind damaging levels of radiation. A decision on whether the cases can go ahead will be reached at a later date. And Trukai Sports is up next. I'll be back with the details. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Now to a story making headlines overseas. Novak Djokovic ruled supreme at the 2016 Australian Open when he defeated Andy Murray in the final of the Grand Slam last night. Djokovic is now Australian Open champion for the 6th time, equaling Roy Emerson's record.
The defending champion was at his ruthless best under the lights at Rod Laver Arena, beating Murray in baseline duels and closing out the match in 2 hours and 53 minutes. He started off the contest brilliantly, showing no mercy to Murray, winning the first set 6-1. But Murray regained his confidence and fought back strong in the second set, matching Djokovic and pushing the second set all the way to 7-5 in favor of Djokovic. Any hope of a comeback seemed remote when Murray barely returned a smash halfway up the net in the opening game of the decider to give Djokovic 2 break points, the second of which Djokovic converted with a sleek backhand down the line. It looked like game over, but Murray stirred himself to break at 3-3, and he still had a glimmer of hope going into the tiebreaker. But the wheels fell off the wagon for Murray, who slumped to 4-1 with a double fault and set up 5 championship points with a wild shot into the tramlines, which was followed 3 points later by another miss to give the Serb the title. Djokovic has owned the year's first Grand Slam for 5 of the past 6 years, having won his first in 2008 and this time around going down to his knees to kiss the blue court surface.
Mr. Roy Emerson, who is not here with us tonight, but we miss him. We miss you, Roy. It's a great privilege to equal and even and match the record of 6 Australian Opens as one of the greatest players to ever play this game. So
Murray was watched by Rod Laver, who won all 4 Grand Slam events in 1962 and 1969, and whom the stadium is named, and received the trophy from Ken Rosewell, 18 times major champion. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
To football in country, Hekari United Football Club have cemented their status as the top club in the Southern Conference of the Telecom National Soccer League after a hard-fought win 2-1 over FC Port Moresby over the weekend. Hekari qualified after only 7 rounds of the competition, while for FC Port Moresby it was a do-or-die campaign for 2nd place.
Top of the table clash in the Southern Conference as league leaders Hekari met 2nd place FC Port Moresby. The match crucial for FC Pom as a loss would place them in a tighter fight with Rapatona to qualify for the finals. The importance of the match shown as captain Roland Bala received a yellow card in 18 minutes. However, Hekari striker Korako Paiga would score 3 minutes later and then double the lead only 5 minutes after that. Hekari composed, and after half an hour, their opposition had yet to take a shot on goal. Neil Hans, however, capitalizing on Ismail Pole's failure at high balls to bring the fight back on 33 minutes. The intensity would continue in the second half. Riley Webster proving an asset for FC Port Moresby as Hekari continued with wave after wave of attack. To counter, striker Jamal Sito would make an introduction, coming on for Hans on 63 minutes. Sito would set up Nathan James, however a desperate tackle by Hekari centre-back Sammy Campbell would leave the young man carried off. Soon after, however, slight embarrassment for Hekari, as Rodney Mobiha would have the biggest miss of the season. FC Port Moresby had one last shot at redemption in the dying stages. ONeill Passam with the poorest of deliveries from a corner that summed up the afternoon for FC Pom. But the attack would not stop as the late surge by FC Pom continued. A well-delivered cross from Abel Redinat finding the head of Sito, who mistimed. And with minutes remaining, Redinat took a chance of his own. But it was to no avail. Hekari taking top spot, leaving FC Port Moresby now having to fight it out to death in the final round of competition. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
Sports and Tourism Minister Honourable Justin Chichenko has reassured the government and people of Tonga of Papua New Guinea's commitment to help with the preparations for the 2019 Pacific Games. Chichenko was accompanied by Deputy Secretary to Prime Minister's Office, Trevor Mary, PNG Sports Foundation's CEO, Peter Chamlili Jr., and Deputy Works Department and Chief Engineer to Nuku'alofa in Tonga.
Minister Chichenko made this assurance at the press conference upon his arrival over the weekend in Nuku'alofa. Chichenko said the purpose of the trip was to ascertain where Tonga is with the preparations and assist with particular areas where the PNG government can help. 3 years is enough time to prepare compared to the amount of time PNG had to prepare for the 2015 Pacific Games. And the PNG government would want to be able to help start preparations immediately. Chichenko added that besides assisting with infrastructure and planning, PNG would also commit to assist Tonga athletes prepare under the High Performance Unit in Port Moresby. Tonga International Affairs Minister Honorable Sosefo Faumota Vakata said Tonga acknowledged that it will not be an easy 3 years ahead, but his government are at ease knowing that PNG is right beside them. Vakata added that PNG delivered a remarkable and amazing 2015 Games with the world-class facilities in 2 years, and its commitment to ongoing dialogue has granted Tonga great confidence in the road to deliver the Games. The team for initial meeting with regard to planning and infrastructure commenced today with representative of Hospitality and Corporate Affairs. Shane Soroya, National, EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. PNG's hopes to one day field a team in the NRL may become a reality sooner than later. 2 more PNG players have been selected to play in the Auckland Nines this weekend, catching the attention of NRL clubs. This weekend will also see the Hunters play host to the Penrith Panthers New South Wales Cup side to officially open the National Football Stadium in Port Moresby.
There may be a possibility of the National Football Stadium hosting an NRL match within the next 2 to 3 years. Panthers General Manager Phil Gould headed a delegation last year when the Hunters played a few of their games here in Port Moresby and was impressed with the facility and passion of the supporters. Last year, the Queensland Rugby League denied the Hunters a home qualifying grand final match in Port Moresby because of the huge logistical costs involved. The success of the Hunters in their short interest Super Cup history has been outstanding. They left their worst performance of the year to their last, getting beaten by the Townsville Blackhawks. It will be a different looking Hunter side this year under coach Michael Marum with the departure of Willie Minoga and Israel Eliab. Despite these 2 big losses, the Hunters are showing faith in finding the next rising star in the Intercity Cup competition. Elijah Levet, National, EMTV Sports.
Touch Federation Papua New Guinea has lost an outstanding and high-flying player, Dorothy Theodore. She represented Papua New Guinea at the 2014 Touch Rugby World Cup in Coffs Harbour, Sydney. Dorothy, an inspiring player, will be greatly missed by the Touch Federation of Papua New Guinea and the Central Touch Association.
34-year-old late Dorothy Theodore Imo, who hails from Lalakua village in East New Britain province, passed away last Friday 1:30 in the afternoon at her family home in Hohola. She died of suspected cervical cancer. Late Dorothy started her career in rugby touch in 1994 alongside her twin sister Alice Theodore. The twins were famous for their speed. She was in the 2015 training squad for the Pacific Games and last represented the country at the 2014 Touch World Cup in Coffs Harbour, Sydney. It was a sad day for the Theodore family and the Touch PNG fraternity. Teammates she had played alongside at the World Cup were there to pay their respects. Families, friends, sportsmen and women said their final goodbyes to an athlete who had touched their lives one way or the other. Late Dorothy Theodore Imo was laid to rest at the 9 Mile Cemetery. She lives behind husband Michael Imo and 6-year-old daughter Sunaim. Mai Koime, National EMTV Sports.
And that story ends Trukai Sports. The weather details up next.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
And now looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, fine although cloudy at times for Port Moresby, mostly fine in Popondetta, Kerema and Daru, and evening showers in Alotau. In the Momase region, fine although cloudy at times for Lae City, mostly fine in Madang and Wewak, and a shower or two for Vanimore. In the New Guinea Islands, mostly fine for Lorengau, fine in Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, and a shower or two forecasted for Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, all centres expecting brief showers. Your forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours, waters of southern PNG, Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerema to Yule Island to Hood Point to Samurai Island with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, with waters of Samurai Island to Cape Vogel to Finchafen, and with waters of New Island to New Britain to Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 metres. And waters of Finchafen, including Vitiaz Strait, CSC Islands to Long Island, with waters west of Long Island to Madang, to Bogia, to Wewak, to Vanimore and northern PNG Indonesian border, and with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 0.3 to 1.3 metres. And finally, the ocean forecast for PNG areas, all coral seas and Pacific Ocean, seas slight with northeast to northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. Now recapping our top stories for tonight. 2 men flown home after being lost at sea, dedication service to mark opening of the legal year, and boy smuggling policeman arrested after being on the run. And that's how it is this Monday, the 1st of February 2016. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Lorraine Genia, wishing you a pleasant week ahead.